Even though I had been involved with lots of different types of production, you know, from live events, news production, some commercial shoots, long before Mormon Scientist came about, it was that project that really was the turning point for all of it. Even as we were just in pre-production talking about the possibility of doing this documentary, you could sense that people thought, you know, this really could become something big. And so when they tell me that I have almost complete creative control, you know, I thought to myself, this is the time I have to really step up my game and do this right, especially in this short time frame. You know, we only had 3 months to pull this off if we were going to get it where it needed to go. And when I got done with all the editing, all the shooting, all the graphics work, all the work that went into it, and finally hear that this internationally carried network has picked it up, and that it's going to be distributed nationwide as a DVD. You know, I felt something that I had never felt on any other production. Maybe it was because I was, you know, so much in charge on this one, but it was that feeling that even when the odds are all stacked up against you, when it looks like you're never going to be able to pull it off, that not only in those moments can I do it, but I can really knock it out of the park when it counts.
In 1901, a son was born to Edward and Caroline Romney Eyring in the colonies of northern Mexico. The boy, named Henry, grew up on horseback. When his prosperous family was driven from Mexico by revolution, Henry seemed fated to a life of hardscrabble farming. Fortunately, his parents had nurtured in him a love of learning and a strong work ethic. He graduated from Ela Academy and went on to the University of Arizona. By the time he was 30, he had already earned a PhD from the University of California and won international recognition as a theoretical chemist. He went on to become one of the noted chemists of the 20th century. More than a quarter century after his death, Dr. Henry Eyring's discoveries continue to illuminate the frontiers of scientific research.
You know, we could go up to my office and I could show you modern textbooks that have been published within the last 3 or 4 years that still reference his work. There are lots of chemists over the past century or more that have done nice stuff in their day, and their achievements aren't recorded in current textbooks as frequently as his are.
Though Henry was repeatedly nominated for the Nobel Prize, he never won it. Yet time has revealed the true significance of his scientific contributions.
If I were to get together a room of 100 scientists, I would guarantee that 90 would know who he was, 50 would know why they knew who he was, and 100 out of 100 would know of his most major work, which was called the absolute rate theory. If I were to take that same group of 100 scientists and ask them who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry this year, I bet 3 might get it. I wouldn't.
Henry's longtime friend and fellow University of Utah administrator, Neal A. Maxwell, often spoke of the value of having such a renowned scientist at the university.
He kidded them one time that the church should maybe send a bill to the University of Utah for $1 million, because how could they have gotten Henry Eyring to come out here to the University of Utah if it hadn't been that he had an affection for the church?
Henry Eyring died from cancer in 1981. His faith in a loving Heavenly Father never failed.
He was praying and saying, why is it so hard? You know, it's prostate cancer that's gone to the bone, and it's terribly painful. And he said, why does God ask this of me? And he finally fell asleep, and when he woke, he said he had the answer, and that was, God needs men of courage. He's testing my courage.
Having passed his final test of courage, Henry Eyring left this world for the better one to come. But he bequeathed to us his legacy of curiosity, simple faith, and kindness. It is a legacy that can guide us in making this world just a little better, as he did.
One other kind of bonding that we ought to talk about is the ammonia bonding. We have a nitrogen and we have electrons with 3 protons holding the ammonia together, but then there's 2 extra electrons. And this is just like a widow with 2 extra children, and they see a bachelor down here, poor thing, with no family at all, and the lady says to him, well, come up here and we'll share our 2 children together. I have the children and you have the money, and so that way it works beautifully and you get the ammonia.